just a little bit here.
Welcome, everyone, to the Resilient, Wild, and Unstoppable Community Interview Series. And I am so glad that we are getting these interviews back on the calendar. And please, please look at the interviews, comment, and connect with everyone that is stepping up to the mic and sharing their message and the joy of who they are and what they bring to the table. So today we get to talk to Christine, and I have to say that I just met Christine, and she just has so many great tools, gifts, and opportunities that you really, really, really want to connect with her. So Christine, what got you started on this journey of wellness and this no fear and leaving a legacy and everything that you have become on this journey?
Well, first of all, Kat, let me thank you very much for having me on today. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I started my as I like to call it, my first life. I was a registered nurse.
Mm,
So I spent many years doing that and decided that at one point it just wasn't what I had anticipated that it was going to be anymore.
mm,
It it didn't light me up the way I thought it should. And I know a lot of people, get up and go to work every day and their jobs just don't light them up. But when I look at it, I say, this is a career and this is what I want to do. It's not just my job,
right.
and so my ability to help people, I felt like it needed to be from a different angle. So of course the nursing helps in a great deal. So I went to massage school and became a massage therapist. So I'm licensed and nationally certified for massage therapy. And as the years went on, you sort of start to find your niche and pull yourself together. I developed a wellness center. So I own Body Essential Holistic Wellness Center, where I have a variety of massage therapists, and they do different kinds of practices. I have estheticians. We do classes like yoga, and we have holistic practitioners that do all of those things in there. And I found myself leaning into oncology work and working in medical treatments and rehabilitation. And I found that one of the things I enjoyed the most was actually working with my oncology patients and looking to make them feel better, because that's the thing that, for them,
Mhm.
it's a little bit of a vacation because people are poking and prodding, but it's not fun. But
Right.
massage, someone can work on you and touch you and still you're feeling better when you're done with that. And that just sort of led me into thinking about, well, what else is going on, in life, and having had, clients that have passed away, having patients in the hospital that have died, thinking about what what's that next step,
Mhm.
and so I decided to look into end of life doula services. And so I decided to do that. And along with that, I found myself longing for that coaching piece, because I found myself talking people through a lot of what was going on in their life and how they wanted to make it better and improve
Mhm.
it and find a positive way, a positive place to end with. Yes.
Right.
So what I've kind of put together is this package of services, if you will, that we talk about. Let's talk about living your best life right now. How do we do that? How do we reclaim your purpose and your presence of joy and where you are on your journey? And then I also put in things like grief and end of life preparation. So you have people that are going through some type of life change. So we want to process those emotions. We want to find peace, even though there's uncertainty and loss
Mhm.
happening. And then also legacy work. So you want to create meaning that's going to endure. And people always say, what's legacy? I don't have a legacy. I don't have a lot of money. I can't leave a legacy. And the thing about legacy is it's not about that. It's not about building libraries or leaving millions of dollars to charity. It's really about the impact that you have on others in your lifetime. It's that time where someone can say to perhaps one of your children, you know, I remember your mom and she said XYZ to me, or she helped me through this or that. And that is your legacy. That's what keeps you alive in the physical world and brings brings you back to what's going on in our lifetime.
Oh my gosh.
So so now that I
There's
said all that.
there is a lot there. And as one that was an end of life caregiver for
Mhm,
various family members, it's like I can relate to some of that.
mhm,
And even as I get a little older,
mhm,
it's really going, oh, what is that legacy or what can legacy look like?
mhm.
So my that is just all powerful. And of everything that you do, is there one path that is like your strongest path or what wakes you up and motivates you and just lights you up every single day?
I think for me, having those conversations with with my patients, it really is what lights me up. You know, where do you see yourself? Where are you going? Where um, what is in front of you and what are you dealing with and how can we make that living your best life? You know,
Yeah.
despite everything else, where's the joy
Right.
in that every day for you?
Yes. Yes. So, oh my gosh. If you were to provide three super tips for our audience, just based on your wealth of knowledge and everything that you bring to the table, what would those be?
Wow, three super tips. Okay, first super tip, self-care. Take care of yourself. So, and that comes out of every aspect of anything that I do. Go get a massage. You know, seriously, take care of yourself. You know, treat your body well. Give it what it needs, and that's going to be your first thing. Because if you can't, you can't help anybody else. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm,
So if you're not in a good place physically, mentally, you're not going to help anybody else. Along their path. Um, the other thing is get yourself prepared. And I know people don't like to think about end of life, but be prepared for the inevitable. I always tell people there's only two things that ever happen to you in this lifetime that you can guarantee are going to happen. You are born and you will die. And that's it. Everything else in between is the point where you're enjoying the journey, and you're creating your life. But you want to prepare for what's going to happen. So what kinds of things do I want, like healthcare proxies and all the technical stuff? Because once that stuff is kind of set, you can go. You can almost go off and live your life and do whatever it is you want to do because you have some solace that those things are taken care of. You know, and just recognize that your legacy. You are what you leave behind. It's not things, it's not finances, it's not any of those things. It is who you are in this lifetime that creates that ripple effect.
mhm.
And and who you treat well and who you can help and all of those things. And one of the things I always say to people is if you're successful in this lifetime, if you can ride that elevator all the way to the top and be successful, you owe it to everybody else to send that elevator back down and help somebody else do the same
Ooh,
thing. So it's really creating who you are in this lifetime that brings joy, that brings
yes,
peace, that brings solace.
yes. It's like that sharing of the message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's powerful. And then when you were going through prepare and all
Hmm.
that preparation. I'm like, all right, where's the checklist for that one?
We I have a checklist. I can send you a checklist. Yeah, it's funny because there are all these little technical things like I should make sure I do this and do this and do this and so that I know that all that's set. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I can definitely relate to the self-care because I know when I was taking care of everyone else, that
Hmm.
was the one thing that, I put aside, and I'm just now getting back to it. Although not as frequently on the massages. I had to go to Thailand to go get a massage. So
Okay. No,
apparently
yeah.
I haven't figured that one out yet.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, there's a lot of great massage therapists out there, but any of those things, massage, Reiki, reflexology, mix them up, anything that's going to make you feel right.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Um, This has been so much fun talking with you and hearing everything that you are a part of. Oh my gosh. You mentioned one thing
Hmm.
that uh, before we actually got on this recording about living a life of no fear.
Hmm.
What is that? What are some things you can say about that? Because there are a lot of people living in, even business owners that are
Hmm.
fearful of taking that next step, or people uncertain of, you know, what they want to do in life or all of that. Anything that you want to share on that?
I think when we say live a life without fear, it's not that fear doesn't exist because fear is going to exist for everybody. The question becomes is don't let the fear drive the car, right?
Hmm.
Fear is the thing that exists to protect you and keep you safe. And when you're looking at that alligator and you're like, that's an alligator. I think I'll pet it. No, your brain kicks in and says, no, that will probably, eat me. So it's probably not a good idea. There's my fear. It has protected me. Okay. But when your fear comes in and says, who's going to listen to you?
Yeah.
You're not worthy of that. You don't deserve X, Y, and Z. That's when you say, but is that true?
Hmm.
I need to have that conversation with my fear and say, is that really true? Am I really not worthy? Well, no, that's a lie. Your fear will lie to you just so that you don't get hurt. Because if I don't put myself out there, I can't get hurt, right?
Right.
So, it's not true. You have to say what's true about this, what isn't true about this. And you say, fear, I appreciate the fact that you're there. I appreciate you wanting to protect me, but I'm going to have you sit in the back seat of the car because I'm driving
Hmm.
and we're going to go do this. And oftentimes I'll say, do it afraid. There's just my associate will be happy to tell you that we run a podcast and it scares her to death every time to get on screen and talk. And I said, just talk. Just do it. And she
Yeah.
does, and she does do it afraid, but she will tell you that it is, frightening for her to just get on and talk. And I said, it's, you just have to, certain things you just have to go ahead and do. And you tell your fear that, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it this way right now. And
Yeah.
you just sit there because
Yep.
eventually that fear, you'll stop being so scared.
Yeah. I can totally relate to the whole podcast thing and that little bit of fear coming in, going, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Well, because you sit back and you say, what if I say something really dumb? Yeah, and you do second guess yourself sometimes when you're speaking. And
Right.
if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. I mean, you just say, "Oh, yeah, that's not what I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to say."
Right.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
it's just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable,
Yep.
if that makes
Totally
any
agree
sense
with
to you.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. I've loved this interview. Any last words before we close down this interview?
I don't think I do have anything else. I just want to remind people, I like to say to keep dwelling in limitless possibilities because truly your life is limitless if you allow it to be. And whatever you put out into the universe, it will give you. back tenfold if you treat it the right way.
Mhm. That's powerful. Thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciated your time today, Christine.
thank you very much, Kat.